Yeah, look, the thing about these cars is that they've got the Nankang tyres, which have been brilliant, but those guys have been racing on them for a few years now, and they come on, well, like first, second corner, they're already on. So no sort of real excuse there for cold tyres and all that sort of thing. These guys just go for it from turn one.
Yeah, and the Nankang tyre, it's obviously, I believe it's more a road-based tyre, so it certainly does come up to pressure very, very quickly. And,
it does.
And they can get right on it. Maybe the only other excuse they might have is cold brakes, but after a warm-up lap, yeah, and cold brains, but after a warm-up lap, you'd expect that they'd be up to temp as well. So
yeah.
We hopefully we're not too far away from a restart here, as we see there the 65 car, Neville Chandler making his way into the pits, unfortunately.
So Neville was one of the stars down at Mansfield last weekend. We had some incredibly intense battles amongst the boxsters. So Neville he had won one race, he was second in another, and nearly won another race. So one of the stars, along with a couple of other guys down there. So he's out, unfortunately. Hopefully it won't be too much of an issue to get fixed for the 2 races we've got tomorrow.
Absolutely, and as we see there, the field just keeping the tyres warmed up, weaving side to side, braking and starting in a straight line, and keeping heaps of residual heat through in those tyres as we come around the final corner. So we're still under safety car at the moment. The team doing a great job there to recover that stricken, poor old little Porsche Boxster. And we see, and we know for a fact, actually, I was talking to the Hurrigan boys before the start of the race. So Ethan is in the car for this one, and Mark will take over the driving in the later races. But for now, it's Daniel Angus, Ethan Hurrigan, Duncan McCrosty, and Oliver Saxton, with Steph Chambers rounding out the top 5 there in the 42 car.
So with these cars, it's the opposite, really, of the little Boxsters on the Nankangs. The front cars we're talking about, you were just mentioning there, they're on the big Michelin slicks, and they've hardly even had time to warm up. They've had one lap, so they'll be not trying to keep them warm, but actually trying to put temperature back into them, really.
Yeah, it's a big ask, as we see there. Yeah, the 22 car just got into the 65. Everyone else did a great job to stay out of trouble and not end up getting involved in that, but unfortunately that was the end of Cam McCormick's day, so hopefully he can get that fixed and be back out tomorrow.
Just at the back of the picture there, we just cut away, you saw a silver and green and blue car coming around. That's father and son team. So there's 2 father and son teams here. We just talked about the Hurrigans. They're racing the same car though. But this is a father and son team racing identical Boxsters.
Exactly right, and as we see there, Cam McCormick's actually still in that car, so he's getting cleared away by the trailer.
I've noticed they've been doing a bit of that, haven't they? It must be much quicker just to leave the driver in there, put it on the trailer, and off they go. Yeah,
well, rather than have the driver wandering off into the oblivion, it's better probably to leave them in the car and just stack the car straight on and get it off the road. So that's great recovery from the team, and hopefully we can go racing very shortly. And as we look back around there, coming around there, the Double B corner, beautiful facility here at Hampton Downs International Circuit.
So I was just mentioning that father and son team. You can just see one of the cars coming through in the background there. So this is the McCorn family, Mark and his son Ashton, and they are separated on the grid for qualifying this morning by 1/1000th of a second between father and son.
And they were in this championship last year, weren't they? We watched them battle all summer long, and they're back at it again.
Absolutely. Well, Well, Mark was one of our class champions, so Ashton, the son, had a fair bit of work to do to impress Dad. But I think they ended up. They'll correct me now that I've got this probably completely wrong, but about 50-50 race wins between the 2 of them. So so they're off to a good start this time. I think Ashton though had 3. So it's 3-0 to the son after Mansfield.
Yes, and it's now lights out of the safety car. So we see the GR Supra safety car now peeling away from the field. So Daniel Angus is going to kick us off the restart here as we come around the final corner. Ethan Hurrigan's right up and behind him. He's going to be looking to pounce. We know, though, that the Cayman doesn't have the horsepower of the Carrera Cup car in front of it, the 991.2 generation Cup car. So as we see here, we've just come across the control line. So Daniel Angus is now in control of the field. When he decides to go, they can go. Duncan McCrosty's going to be looking to try and take advantage of this as well. Oliver Saxton's in there, and Steph Chambers there in the 5th of the 3rd Cup cars as well. So we get going again. Down the front straight, Daniel Angus leads us away. Ethan Hurrigan's already getting swamped by Duncan McCrosty, but can he outbrake him on the inside here? And he's taking that position back around the inside. Oliver Saxton's trying to follow him through. Duncan McCrosty there, got a bit squared off on the exit there, and again, Ethan's going to have to try and block him going down towards turn 2. If he can manage to just keep that Cayman ahead, he's hopefully going to try and push back up to Daniel Angus by the end of these next few corners. As we see there, Oliver Saxton's now looking up the inside of Duncan McCrosty. He's doing a great job there in the second of those Caymans.
Nice job there from the Bailey's car. You can see the Hurrigan car there, just to keep us cool, stay on the inside. He knew he could outbrake him. There's a horsepower advantage we talked about already. So what can Oliver Saxton do there? Just shattering that 997 Cup car. One of the older Cup cars now, but still got more straight line speed.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what makes this class so interesting to watch, is you're seeing the trade-off. The Caymans seem to be a little bit lighter and more nimble through the corners, but the Cup cars, as Daniel Angus actually made a bit of a mistake there, he's lost a ton of time to Hurrigan. So Ethan Hurrigan could be potentially looking at the race lead pretty shortly if he keeps this up.
He'll be excited by that, but he's still got the up and over the Porsche dipper there. That's quite a tricky thing in a big rear engine car like the 911s. But of course the 911s just squat on those massive rear slicks. You know all about that. And like a dragster, they just take off. That is their strength, their forte, is coming out of slower corners.
Yeah, absolutely. We saw there again, Duncan McCrosty got up the side of Ethan Hurrigan. He couldn't quite get the move done as they put the power down, and this is where the Cayman's going to struggle. It's going to have the Cup car up the inside. Ethan goes to the inside to try and keep him off. If he can just hold it on the inside there, come into the first corner, he might be able to get the position back.
Oh, look at that. He's ducked to the outside now. He's going to try and take a wider line rather than keep on that narrow line. And it's worked. It's worked. Well done. Good driving from both of them there.
McCrosty fired it in pretty deep there. He was still on the brakes even at the apex point. So looks like Ethan managed to just brake a little bit earlier, square the corner off and get back on the power and get past. And he's managed to stay ahead going down towards turn 2.
Duncan will love that replay when he sees it, when he finally gets home, and he's like, oops, I nearly pushed it too hard there.
Yeah, exactly right. He was well deep into the turn 1 corner there. So you see there, Daniel Angus has got a bit of a gap now. These two fightings really helped his gap, and he's managed to pull away. So Ethan Hurrigan's now got a bit of clear space, and if we can watch him now coming through the double B corner, can he catch back up to Daniel Angus to try and look to have a go?
And this is where Ethan's good. He's consistent. You'd know that from racing against him in the past. Here we go. It's a replay of that turn 1. Talk us through it, Ron.
Yeah, and it just demonstrates there the horsepower difference between a Cup car and a GT4 car. Unfortunately, the little Cayman didn't quite have the grunt. But then Duncan McCrosty's gone way too deep into turn 1, crossed himself up, and Ethan Hurrigan's managed to get on back past. So great racing between those two. And we look a bit further back there, Steph Chambers in the 42 car in 5th place, getting chased hard by Ian Hill in the first of the Boxsters.
Yeah, that's actually, we've got a couple of those new Cayman now. Now, the Caymans are based on, a bit like the Boxsters, we take road cars. The later model, they're faster. So there's a couple of those out there. We're just sort of trying to get that class going. So those two red cars are the new Caymans, about 300 horsepower, a little bit quicker. And Ian Hill is doing a magnificent job, getting some interest out of that by being so fast.
Absolutely, and obviously as well, we've got the different classes of Boxster in there, different engine displacements.
As you guys like to call them, we've got the big blocks, which are the 2.7 Boxsters, and the small blocks, the 2.5s.
The small blocks versus the big blocks. It's certainly a battle for the ages out there between the Boxsters, and as we see them coming along the front straight now, great battle between these guys, nice and close. As we see there, Ian Hill's chasing Steph Chambers, and then behind there we've got David Mackerel.
So those are two of those new Caymans we're talking about, and as you can see, there's all the Boxsters and the 944s behind them, so just a step faster than, so it's a step up. So if you're enjoying the Boxsters, think, okay, I want you something a little bit faster. There they are, right there. And that's David Mackerel behind him with the white stripes there, number 9.
And how cool is that? The 58 car, the livery almost reminds me of the Flying Lizard livery from IMSA in America, and then you've got the 9 car running the almost 1970 Le Mans winning 917K style livery. It's pretty cool.
Look, you'll see that back. There's a Golf blue car back there. There's a Rothmans car. I don't know if we're allowed to say that even these days, but yeah, the guys like playing with them, and it sort of shows you that not that serious about that whole side of things, sponsorship and that sort of thing. It's their own choice, and they have a bit of fun with them.
Well, and generally that's the thing, isn't it? When you're deciding what livery to put on your racing car to go and have some fun. As we see there, actually, is that Simon Thurlow
yes,
there in
it is.
the Apple liveried car?
Yeah, exactly. Now, someone's tagged him or he's swung out, who knows? I'll hear about that later on, but I hate to say he'll get a black flag for that, won't he? Or a meatball flag or something.
Unfortunately, that is not DRS. That's not drag reduction on that car. It's
it probably is.
Losing some bodywork. As we see here, Ethan Hurrigan still having a battle of the ages with Duncan McCrosty there. He gets right up behind him by the exit of the corner, and then the hard work starts all over again as the Cup car pulls away in a straight line. So they're having a great battle. Daniel Angus has managed to pull 5 seconds on these guys while they've been battling. As we see a replay, again, McCrosty round the outside. Hurrigan will be seething, wanting just a little bit more power out of that Cayman to be able to race him a bit harder up the straight. But
I guess it's uphill there, isn't it? It's uphill as well, which compounds the problem. That a bigger torquier engine just pushes it up there that much faster.
Exactly right. As we see there, the Cayman's coming through turn 4, the big sweeper.
All Ethan can do now is just keep in his mirrors and just try and force a little air onto Duncan, just sort of, get in there, make sure that Duncan knows he's under pressure. That's about all he can do now, really.
Yeah, and it's great watching this, all through the infield here. The Cayman gets right up. Hurrigan's driving the wheels off that car, trying to stay with Duncan McCrosty, and again, he's going to lose. Get the doors blown off going down this straight up towards the hairpin here, and out of here, it's not going to favour him again going onto the back straight, but he's sticking in there and hoping for the next lap around that he can stay close enough to have a go when we get back down towards turn 2.
We just had a good shot there, the 224 on the back of those shirts. That's the Daniel Angus crew leaning on the fence there, watching their driver with a very handy lead now. I guess Daniel can sort of relax.
Exactly right, and that Kinsway car, the 224 car, beautifully presented 991 Generation 2 Cup car, always looks the bits, and he's doing a great job out front now with almost a 7-second lead.
Yeah, I think he can look in his mirror and think, I can just cruise here, which is, it's a shame because we do have a couple of Cup cars that'll be here in January for the similar round as this, and boy, that's going to be some action at the front, but at the moment he can cruise.
Yeah, absolutely, and we see there again the number 4 Bailey's Wellington Cayman is keeping that 155 car of Duncan McCrosty honest. He's Ethan Hurrigan, he's got the headlights on, he's all over the back of him, and again now they're coming up to the infield area where it's going to favour Ethan, and the horsepower's not so relevant, and he's going to be looking to try and get past him again. So we see there Oliver Saxon, he's dropped back a couple of seconds now off the back of Hurrigan, and then Steph Chambers is a little further back off those guys in 5th. Ian Hill there in 6th, David Mackerel in 7th. It's certainly lining up between those two Caymans just in behind. Steph Chambers as well, the gap's only a 2nd.
And we're looking at Kelly McEwen there, just getting in front of Chris Taylor. These two have battled for literally for years now on their little 2.7 Boxsters. So they're doing a good job. Here's there. It's almost going to take the I thought he was taking the bumper off on the corner. Oh, he has taken it off. Brilliant, nicely removed.
All it took was getting to the pit lane for the bumper to come off, so maybe he should have stayed out there. But no, Simon Thurlow obviously coming in to clear any potential damage or anything with that car, and hopefully he can get back out there. But we see again the Golf liveried 96 car of Kelly McEwen having a great battle with Chris Taylor. Ashton McCorn's not too far behind either. Mark McCorn's actually dropped a little bit further behind his son, so he's going to be working hard to try and catch back up. But as we see here, great battle between these cars.
So in front of this trio is another Boxster. It's a guy called Stephen Fang, who was our club champion from last year. You remember that name. He drove brilliantly. He's got a decent lead in the front. Now, that's a great story. He woke up on Thursday morning, thought, I'm missing out here. He wasn't entered. I should be racing with these guys. Thursday night, he made the call to LM Racing, to Luke, and said, I want to race. So the car got put on the trailer, had the dust cover taken off and brought down here. It's been sitting all winter. And here he is leading the pack with his number 1 car. He's in 9th position overall. You can just see him going up the straight there past the Shannon Simon, a little bit ahead now, heading into turn 10. And look at the lead he's got. For someone that hasn't turned a lap for about 8 months, extraordinary. That's him right there.
And what a cool livery on that car as well, sort of reminiscent to the sort of 2018, 2019 factory Porsche team, European team.
You're onto
livery.
exactly that. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. It's Stephen is, I suppose, compared to a lot of people here, relatively new. I mean, he's done 3 or 4 seasons with us, but he is, to watch him, he's never spectacular. Which, as you know, it's a bit misleading. He is fast, but he knows that with these cars, you have to keep them straight. You've got to you don't overheat the tyres. You've got to, a little bit of slip angle, but not too much.
It's never a bad thing when you're pretty new to motorsport and you've already got the #1 slapped on the doors, though, isn't it? It's
well, I'm doing him a disservice saying pretty new. He has been doing it for 3 or 4 seasons, but, you know, he hadn't done anything before that. So there's a bit of defensive stuff going on from Kelly McEwen there, with Chris Taylor hounding him around there. And Chris Taylor is in the mirror, so look at the defensive line that Kelly's been taking there, Kelly McEwen.
Yeah, they're having a great battle there, and we've now commenced the final lap. So Daniel Angus has now come around to start the end of this race. This awesome race one we've had so far of Porsche New Zealand Championships. Great battles throughout. A little bit of contact at the start, but since then it's been a clean run to the finish. And as we see here, Kelly McEwen still having that nose-to-tail battle with Chris Taylor and the Boxsters.
So this is
McCorn not too far behind.
So that's what we see there is second and third in the 2.7 class. You just saw the Stephen Fang mobile just heading on up towards the Porsche Tipper, and that's, as you say, Ashton McCorn behind them, who's leading our 2.5 class, just as competitive, just as many competitors. And then was even got a 944 heading down there, down through the Porsche Tipper there. What a magnificent looking beast.
We see there the beautifully presented Kinsway car of Daniel Angus. He's now coming around the Porsche Dipper, heading up the back straight. He's at this point he's 11.3 seconds ahead, so he is cruising out there from Duncan McCrosty, who's still got pressure from Ethan Hurrigan. He's only a second behind. They're now coming through the Porsche Dipper as Daniel Angus, he comes around the final corner. Now onto the front straight here, the beautiful front straight here on the Hampton Downs International Circuit. Up the front straight, he's got the lights flashing. He comes across the line to take victory in race one this afternoon of Porsche New Zealand Championship. Great job to Daniel Angus. Congratulations to his team. And we're just waiting on Duncan McCrosty and Ethan Hurrigan to come across the line to take second and third. There's McCrosty, 155.997 car, followed by the #4 car of Ethan Hurrigan there to take the final step on the podium overall. Oliver Saxton coming across the line. And Steph Chambers has actually lost a couple of spots there, Stu, so something may have happened there.
Yeah, she's just not up to pace this time, is she? She's just sort of back further than she normally would be, so I'm not quite sure what's happened there. But just to run you quickly through our Cayman sort of road car base class, Ian Hill's won that. Then we've got Marian Vukic has won our 944 class in his black car.
We'll take a look at the results. So Daniel Angus took out the overall win in the Kinsway car, the 224, with victory 10.9 seconds over Duncan McCrosty in second. Ethan Hurrigan, stellar drive in that little Cayman to come home there in third place, 14 seconds behind. Oliver Saxton there in fourth. Ian Hill there in fifth, as you were saying before, Stu. David Mackerel in sixth. We look down the field. Ashton McCorn managed to beat his dad there, Mark McCorn, 12th and 14th. Anthony Houston, Steve Stokes and Simon Thurlow managed to get back out there to round out the field in 17th.
And then we see Neville Chandler and Cam McCormick, the two that were involved in that first lap incident. Let's hope it didn't look terribly serious for either car, so we'll go down and have a look and just see. They've got plenty of time to get ready for tomorrow morning's race.
And that concludes race one of the Porsche New Zealand Championship here at the Repco NextGen New Zealand Championship. Round one, Alliance Services, Hampton Downs GT International. We will be back soon with the Bridgestone GR86 Championship. But first, we're going to take a look at the highlights. So we got off the start here. Daniel Angus, great start there in the Cup car. Took the lead from the pole position. Ethan Hurrigan there on the outside there in the #4 car. Tried to go around the outside. Duncan McCrosty managed to clear him. Oliver Saxton going around the outside. We saw a bit of contact, 65 and the 22. Unfortunately, that took the 22 out of the race. Great avoiding action by everyone else in the field to avoid it. But that brought out the safety car. Unfortunately, Cam McCormack didn't end up going again after that. Daniel Angus again took the lead, going down towards turn one. Ethan Hurrigan and Duncan McCrosty had a battle for the ages. The Cup car versus the GT4 car. GT4 car not quite having the horsepower, but Hurrigan put up a great fight. As we see there, Simon Thurlow's car, the bumper hanging off that car. Coming across the line again, the Cup car eclipsing the GT4 car. Daniel Angus at that point had a pretty sizable lead, and that rounded off race one of the Porsche New Zealand Championship.
Good race, gents. Enjoyed that. I had an opportunity just to stick my head outside and enjoy as much the sights, the sounds of this fantastic category. And as they head down to Allied Petroleum Victory Lane, we'll get some celebrations with that. Stu, great to see the strength of this championship continues on. I know back-to-back rounds, so really busy time for a club-based championship, but to rock up with such a strong field here this weekend, testament to the club and all the competitors.
Look, thank you for that. We're delighted. We did, you know, a few months ago we were nervous, but yes, like the Stephen Fang story is classic. You know, sitting at home thinking, oh, I'm missing out on all the fun here. I've just got to be there. So gets the car out from the winter storage and off he goes. So that's Tony Houston, who is a classic example of that. He was sitting at home all winter, you know, thinking about it. Thought, oh, I'll join them after Christmas. Couldn't wait to get out there and have a run. So he's in a 2.5 Boxster. So looks like we're getting organised for 1, 2 and 3 in the 2.5 Boxster class.
Well, my thanks to you, Stu, for coming out. We look forward to hearing more from you as the weekend goes on. To Ronan Murphy, who called that superbly. Nice work as we continue this relentless pace here at the Repco NextGen EdZ Championship. Up next, the Bridgestone GR86 Championship commences.
It has the potential to be one of the best seasons in the 13 years of the Bridgestone GR86 Championship. A very close field indeed. Lots of names that could become stars of the future. So why don't we meet one of them right now?
I'm Cam Hill, I'm 18 from Auckland. I got into motorsport through my dad. He's always been in a car and in racing cars, so kind of just took me under his wing. My biggest support has been my mum and dad, definitely. They do so much for me. Can't do it without them, really. My biggest success in motorsport so far has been winning round 2 of GR86, the overall and rookie. My ambitions in motorsport is to make the V8 supercars one day, and yeah, win it. My biggest idol in motorsport is SVG, because he does big burnouts. The best circuit in New Zealand to race is probably Highlands. It's just really fun. There's a jump too. Racing in the GR86 series is very competitive, but very fair at the same time, and it makes for good racing.
He'll turn 18 in December, the Northland Toyota driver. We take a look at some of the cars as they make their way down toward Turn 2. It is the new generation. We first saw them as a part of this series in 2024, 2025, Ronan, but this generation, we're talking about 220 plus horsepower. They are a cult car, a very cool car, aren't they?
Yeah, still that 4-cylinder boxer engine in these cars, just a little bit more displacement, a little bit more horsepower, which in turn has also made them a bit quicker than the previous generation cars. So great to see these cars being wheeled by 15 bright talents out there, and it's I can't wait for this one, Rusty.
Toyota Gazoo Racing globally have 86 series in all sorts of different countries. Some of them do have their own unique touch, and it is that way here in New Zealand. We've seen some great champions come out of this class. They've had the opportunity, courtesy of the prize package, which is typically in the vicinity of about $100,000, to go and experience maybe some GT4 racing, ADAC GT4 in Germany, for example, maybe a test in a supercar across the other side of the ditch. We look at the grid for you for the opening race. This was determined by the second fastest lap from qualifying. So Chris White for Neil Motorsport did a super job. 2 very consistent laps from him. Hugo Allen, the reigning champion, will start beside him on the front row. That's a good story. Arthur Braun actually has pole for our final race of the weekend. He did a ripping job there in qual.
He did, and he had a 10th.5 gap, which in Toyota 86, Bridgestone Toyota 86 terms, that's a huge gap. So he did a brilliant job. So we see there Lee Zelltwanger, so he's in the Corvette's car, which our reigning champion Hugo Allen was in last year. He's there in P7. Harry Townsend there in P8, and he did a great job to be P5 for the final race. Cormac Murphy, Lucas McGill, our Tony Quinn Foundation Scholarship winner and Wolfbrook Foundation Scholarship winner there in P14, and Justin Allen there rounding out the field.
Should make the point, it is the first ever car race for Lucas, who's won that scholarship, among others, and is stepping up this weekend from karts. We wish him well. Great to have him here and have that talent being recognised on the pathway. And a little footnote just in relation to Syndicate Motorsport. Had a word before the start of this race to Justin Allen. He was a little frustrated. They had some sort of glitch with the timing equipment in that car, with the transponder. He's got to start from the rear of the grid. Obviously, he's copped that on the chin, but he feels like Ronan, that car was good enough for maybe the 4th row. Yeah,
I think, unfortunately, there was a bit of an issue for both the Syndicate cars in qualifying, so they're starting a little bit further back than they'd like, but definitely going to be interested to watch the progress of Cormac Murphy and Justin Allen and see where they can end up. Hugo Allen's there off the front row. I was talking to him after qualifying, and he said he was a bit frustrated. He felt like he had a car and good enough for pole. He just didn't quite put it together, but the positive out of that is he's starting second for both this race and the final race.
Arthur Braun moves his car into position. Just 16 years of age. You'll hear the Boxer engines start to rise. It's the beginning of a brand new season in Bridgestone GR86. We are underway for what is going to be an epic summer in this class. They'll go into one for the first time, and White Jr. will lead them. Everyone looks like they've started this one cleanly.
Hugo Allen also got a good start off the front row. Arthur Braun, our pole sitter for tomorrow, he had to defend from Josh Bethune in the number 32 right cuts by M2 competition car, and then got Zach Blinko in the number 90 going down the outside of him. A bit further back, the rest of the field gathers up. We come down into turn 2. Lee Zelltwanger there going around the outside of AJ Giddy. Cormac Murphy, Justin Allen, and then Lucas McGill rounding out the field. It's coming into turn 3 for the first time. So far, it's been really clean. Everyone's keeping it nice and straight. Coming into turn 4.
White Jr. now driving for Neil Motorsport. New outfit, strong combo on Friday. They were fastest in sessions 1 and 2 here at Hampton Downs. He was the Rookie of the Year last season, winner of the Tony Quinn Foundation Shootout the previous year in 2024.
Yeah, exactly right. And we see there, White Jr.'s actually pulled out a little bit of a margin. We see there in the background, Cormac Murphy and Mac Templeton having a good battle. Harry Townsend's defending, going down there into turn 5 with Simon Hunter there just in front of those guys. Lee Zelltwanger side by side with Cooper Barnes. We come down into the Porsche Dipper for the first time. Arthur Braun's gathered himself up, and he's now in 3rd behind Hugo Allen, with Josh Bethune right up behind those guys.
Chris White proving really handy on the cold tyres. He is not afraid to lean on those awesome Bridgestones at all, and he's made good ground here from the start of this race. The gap says 0.3 at the last timing split, but I reckon it's even bigger than that.
Yeah, Chris White running for Neil Motorsport there under Andy Neil, doing a great job out the front. Hugo Allen's under a bit of pressure from Arthur Braun, the pole sitter for tomorrow, so it's the reigning champ, number 1 on the doors of that car, and he's got Arthur Braun trying to go down the inside, and that might lead to a bit of contact there.
Great racing. I reckon Braun's made that stick. So perhaps just the intimidation of diving down the inside. Allen knows what it takes to stitch a championship together. You can't afford in race 1 to get in a skirmish like that and ruin your chances. This is going to become a 3-way fight.
And Josh Bethune was looking very opportunistic there in the number 32 car, the right cuts car. Zach Blinko is also there in the fight. So this fight for second, it's starting to get aggressive.
This is awesome. It's all playing into Chris White Jr.'s hands, though. He's got a lead of more than a second. The pack and save machines 1 and 2 at present. And Josh Bethune in there. This is a really good battle pack, and I think the Opie Constructions entry is entering the fray as well.
And AJ Giddy's done a great job as well, the young charger there in the number 10 car for Mackenzie Motorsport. He's moved up and behind his teammate Zach Blinko. Lee Zelltwanger's then got a bit of a gap to those guys in front. Cooper Barnes has dropped it off the road. As we see there, Simon Hunter and Harry Townsend. Harry Townsend went down the inside of Hunter there, the Hawke's Bay Bayswater driver. He didn't quite get that done. Mark Pilcher there watching on from M2 competition. Josh Bethune there in 4th place. We've got one running off the road a little bit there on the exit. That was AJ Giddies, leaving no stone unturned, trying to pass his teammate Zach Blinko, but he's now had to go to the inside to defend from the Toyota A6 Trophy Series winner, Lee Zaltwanger.
When you talk about Mark Pilcher and M2 competition across a number of categories in New Zealand motorsport and indeed globally, haven't they been great at finding champions and helping to build them on the pathway? M2 competition, what they've done in recent years in the Castrol Toyota Formula Regional Oceania Trophy, cannot wait to see what summer brings in that department for them.
Absolutely, and we see there AJ Diddy in the OP Contractors car going quite defensive there. Lee Zaltwang is looking all over the back of him. He's now trying to set up a move going down to turn 2, and he's up the inside, but there's not quite enough room for a GR86 to fit through there. Cooper Barnes just in behind those guys with Simon Hunter in the fight as well. Harry Townsend, Cormac Murphy looked like he was going for a move down the inside of Mac Templeton. Didn't quite pull it off, as we see there. Giddy, Zaltwanger, Barnes and Hunter. Massive fight going on here between those guys for that 6th place.
Really.
Barnes going down the inside of the 22. That was opportunistic, but it looks like he might pull it off.
Nice to have Barnes back involved in the series too. You only have to look back at Mount Panorama Bathurst in the Toyota GR86 Championship over there, and he was consistently running top 5 at the mountain just a few weeks ago. Nice to have him here in New Zealand.
Absolutely, and we see there now Harry Townsend going down the inside again of Simon Hunter. He's had a few stabs at that corner there, trying to go down past Simon Hunter. Simon Hunter, he's a previous New Zealand karting champion, very highly credentialed, and enjoying his time in the 86 series. As Harry Townsend gave him a bit of a tap there on the exit, as Hugo Allen's now been passed by Josh Bethune. Bethune's going to try to go around the outside of him. Allen's got the inside though. He's going to stamp his authority on that piece of tarmac, going around the final corner and up the straight. He's going to have the inside again for turn 1.
Look who's watching, waiting in the background there in the 90. That is Zach Blinko. He has got both of them in his sights. The 222 makes its way. Look at them, they're side by side. The Mad Butcher entry, that's the reigning champion. That is Hugo Allen, and he goes wheel to wheel with Bethune, but he takes it back now. Gets back into 3rd. The right kart's entry should have a bit of better momentum off the exit of that corner. This is terrific.
Yeah, Bethune, it looks like he's going to get this done. He's got the inside, so the preferential line over Hugo Allen here, and he's going to be firing it down the inside. Allen actually managed to move over there, so Josh Bethune lost a little bit of ground on the entry there. Allen's done a beautiful job to pull it up and keep Zach Blinko at bay. As they come now into turn 3, Blinko going for a sniff, but he didn't quite have enough room up beside Hugo Allen there, as we now see Arthur Braun, Hugo Allen, Zach Blinko, Josh Bethune, AJ Giddy, Cooper Barnes, Lee Zaltwanger and Simon Hunter all coming around turn 4. Beautiful corner here at Hampton Downs. It goes for so long. Coming down towards the double B corner. We're riding with the champ again. Hugo Allen over the top there in the Mad Butcher car.
A little bit of patience has actually worked for Zach Blinko there, while the other two had the elbows out and they were fighting over 3rd place. Once they came through 1 and ran down to 2, he found himself in a really nice position, so he's picked up a place in the process there. Now we're hearing it might be a jump start on the 2nd row of the grid. So is it Braun or the right kart's entry there? Oh, we're hearing, sorry, from Motorsport New Zealand Race Control that the question mark is over Hugo Allen, possibly. We're putting a question mark on that for you. We'll get confirmation from Race Control. The allegation, a possible jump start.
And unfortunately, if that is true, it's not how you want to be defending a championship in the first race. But Hugo, he's a wily operator. He's already won one of these championships. He knows how to do it, and he's going to push on to try and do it again as we ride there again with the Mad Butcher car. He's coming across the line in 3rd place. Chris White Jr. has driven away with this so far. He's 1.2 seconds to the tune of Arthur Braun, with Hugo Allen there in 3rd place. Zach Blinko doing a great job there in 4th, with Josh Bethune in 5th. There we see the Tony Quinn Foundation winner Lucas McGill as we got a few off the road.
It's getting the tempos being turned up in the background there. So Lee Zaltwanger, I think, is going to absolutely profit from that.
And it's looking like we may actually have a jump start investigation for both P1 and P2 off the grid there. So wow. Chris White Jr., our race leader, and Hugo Allen, our second grid position starter, both of them are under investigation for jumping the start. So either they had the best start of their lives or they may be looking at a penalty, unfortunately.
Hearing from, just to update on what Ronan has alluded to there, 5-second penalty for Hugo Allen. And White Jr., I think, is still being looked at, being reviewed. So we've got the little replay happening there for you.
It's very hard to tell, but the lights are still on. Oh, yeah, that's cat-like reactions. I can't really even call that one. You need to look at it. We'll have to have a look at it closer and wait and see.
Our box is right beside Motorsport New Zealand Race Control. It's a really good setup in there too. Good people. Should point out that Rowan Shepherd, former champion in this class, is in there in a driving standards capacity too, isn't he?
Absolutely, and what whether or not that is a penalty, it's not affecting Chris White Jr.'s speed or his control over this race. He's currently 1.2 seconds ahead of the rest of the field, and he's driving away with it, controlling the gap to Arthur Braun there in second.
In that moment, really, you've just got to put that stuff out of your mind, press on, and let it be dealt with. I mean, there's just no point, is there?
Absolutely, and as we see there going to turn one, Josh Bethune's actually dropped back into fifth, and he's lost a bit of time there to the top three. So Hugo Allen's managed to break away from both Josh Bethune and Zach Blinko. AJ Giddy's doing a great job there to stay with these guys in sixth, but the top three have started to break away. And if anything, that gap to Chris White Jr. between Arthur Braun and Hugo Allen has actually decreased a bit.
How beneficial are those opening laps? If you can be brave enough with the pressures at a certain level, knowing they'll come up to the ideal number, maybe in the latter part of the race, if you can be brave on that cold rubber, it works to your advantage, doesn't it?
Absolutely, and that's exactly what Chris did. He took advantage of it, drove away, clear track ahead of him, and he managed to pull that gap and really start to wind the wick up on that awesome little 88 GR86. Arthur Braun there in second. He's done a great job to pull about half a second in the last lap out of Chris White Jr. and Hugo Allen still there in third. But as we know, both the race leader, Chris White Jr. and our reigning champ, Hugo Allen, are both under investigation for a jump start.
Allen's got a very experienced kind of engineer and car preparer in Todd Pickerton in his corner. If they can put a case forward to defend that, I guess they will. We've already heard what City Hall has done in terms of a penalty, and the person who stands to kind of benefit with a good crew around him advising him. What about Arthur Braun? And he's got Caleb Nartoa doing some data work this weekend. Johnny Mack in that kind of radio come driver coaching capacity. That's clever stuff.
Yeah, there's no shortage of talent there in the 222 car. Arthur Braun, he's obviously got experience in world karting, and his qualifying lap this morning was absolutely stellar. To be a tenth and a half ahead of the reigning champ and the rest of the field was seriously impressive. His second lap wasn't quite as good, and that's what pushed him back to third for the grid for this first race. But tomorrow afternoon, he's going to be sitting on that pole position, and clearly there's no shortage of speed in the 222 as he's looking up the inside of Chris White Jr. So both him and Hugo Allen have managed to. What a bit of racecraft there from Hugo Allen to dart across the track like that right at the end, and he definitely caught Arthur Braun there by surprise, who's had to run on the defensive.
A little bit of bodywork underneath the sort of in the front splitter region or something there you can see underneath Arthur Braun's car. Doesn't seem to be slowing him up. That was a karting-style dive bomb from the reigning champion in Hugo Allen there before, with time fast running out in this race. All of a sudden, Braun's got to look in the rearview mirror here. Keep one eye on the Mad Butcher entry, but he's trying to focus on White as well. Terrific racing up the front in this class. Then a gap back to Bethune, Zach Blinko and AJ Giddy, that next group.
And if anything, that the battling between Hugo Allen and Arthur Braun has helped Chris White Jr. As we watch here, Hugo's going to try and do the crisscross here. He's not quite made it work. He's now going to try to go around the outside of Arthur Braun, but great bit of racing between these two guys for that second place on the podium. As we see there, this has really helped Chris White Jr. He's managed to extend that gap again. He was under pressure at the start of this lap. Arthur Braun now having to run the defensive line going down to the last corner to keep Hugo Allen at bay.
Well, last year's Rookie of the Year, who made a huge impression at the front of the field. There's a question mark over the start at the moment, but he's got one lap to go, basically. Last lap board now on display for White Jr. Braun keeps that car centre of the track. It's not the ideal line for turn one, but he's trying to fend off Hugo Allen. Allen doing something unique in this class, not It's not as though it hasn't been done before, but it's a very rare thing, defending the championship. Not many have done that. Many have often taken the wonderful prize pool that Toyota put together and then use it for the next step in their career. He's doing something really cool here, trying to go back to back.
Yeah, and he would be only the second driver in the history of this championship to be able to do that. And the irony of all of that is it's actually the driving standards observer for this class, Rowan Shepard, who was the first and the only driver to have done that, to go win multiple championships too. He went back to back, and in the previous generation car. So Hugo would be joining a very short list of racing drivers who have managed to achieve that. And he's still all over the back of Arthur Braun here. Braun's starting to just hold him up a little bit. Maybe his car started to go off a bit. They've actually managed to stay very close to Chris White Jr. So Hugo Allen seems to have, of everyone at the moment on the track, he seems to have the speed.
Only a couple of corners remain here. Can these two find a little something and shut down that 0.6 of a second advantage to Chris White? Braun again defending, keeps it mid-track. The ideal or the quicker line maybe suiting Hugo Allen here. If he can get a nice run through the final corner, that could set Allen up for a good run to the flag. Look at him left and right here. The car dancing as he fires it into the right-hander.
He actually hadn't made up his mind of which way he was going to go. He was going to try and go the inside and try and sell the dummy to Arthur Braun, but you got to get up pretty early in the morning if you want to fool Arthur Braun there. And Chris White Jr. is going to take the win.
Checkered flag waves. He'll greet that first, but a little question mark. Nice start, though, for White Jr. Braun home second in the end from Hugo Allen. Bit to unpack from that race. And I think that might hopefully entice a few more to come and play over summer. We've got a month or two before we regroup back here, in fact, for the next round of the series. And if we're going to get close action like that, come and play. That'd be quite good fun.
And that was an excellent start to this championship. Nice and clean, hard racing, lots of racecraft on display, and what a great finish there between the top three. It went right down to the wire there for that second place between Arthur Braun and our reigning champion, Hugo Allen. As we take a look at the results, so the provisional race results, Chris White Jr. took the win in the 88 car, followed by Arthur Braun there. In the 222, our reigning champion Hugo Allen in third there provisionally. Josh Bethune there in fourth, Zach Blinko fifth, AJ Gideon sixth, Lee Zaltwanger there in seventh, Cooper Barnes in eighth, Simon Hunter in ninth, and Harry Townsend rounding out the top 10.
So just to update you here, the penalty has been or will be applied to what you see on screen here at the moment for Hugo Allen. That moves Josh Bethune up into third. And in theory, I think they'll send him into to our Victory Lane area, our Bridgestone GR86 Championship Victory Lane area, in order to celebrate that. We don't have the clarity yet on White Jr. Highlights for you. First race of the year, Bridgestone GR86, and they had some eagle eyes in Motorsport New Zealand race control with some potential jump starts as they went into turn one for the first time. Chris White Jr., Rookie of the Year last year, led them away.
He stretched out quite a big lead by after those first 3 or 4 laps. Rusty, as we see there, Hugo Allen and Arthur Braun went at it, and this setup of a pass by Arthur Braun was absolutely brilliant. We see there Cooper Barnes and Lee Zaltwanger having a great battle there, the Kiwi Tarp car that Hugo Allen was driving last year. Chris White Jr. came across the line, still with a big lead, and then we saw Arthur Braun actually attack Chris White Jr. about halfway through that race, and Hugo Allen was waiting in the wings, and this setup of a pass was brilliant by Hugo. Didn't quite pull it off. Coming over there, the Porsche dipper tried to go around, hang around the outside again here on the final lap. Hugo Allen in the Mad Butcher car, but Chris White Jr. took the spoils of race one for the Bridgestone GR86 Championship.
So that is too close to call, we're being told at the moment by Motorsport New Zealand Race Control. It will be investigated post-race when they have access to a little bit more information. So this is provisional, but he's in. Allied Petroleum Victory Lane at the moment. Arthur Braun pulling up there at the moment. And as we detailed before there too, so Josh Bethune, because that penalty has already been adjudicated on, been decided on for Hugo Allen, that means Josh can take a rightful third place in Victory Lane there at the end of the first race of Bridgestone GR86. Wow. Good team battle that's going to unfold over summer too, isn't it? Some very good outfits in this class.
Yeah, and the thing you got to keep out for as well, it's quite actually hard to tell the difference between Chris White Jr. and Arthur Braun's cars. They're both sponsored by Pack and Save, but run by different teams. Obviously, the 88 car there of Chris White Jr. run by Neil Motorsport, and the 222 run by Mackenzie.
Let's take you there now. Here's Andrew.
Thanks, guys. Chris White Jr. taking out the race win for that one. Worked pretty hard for that. How do you feel?
Yeah, no, it's a good way to start the season, obviously. Like the whole Neil Motorsport crew have put a lot of work into me and Mac, so it's good to be able to come here and get the first race win of the season. Big shout out to Arthur. He was hunting me down that entire race, and he obviously had a lot of race pace, so it was quite good to be able to stay ahead of them. So we learnt lots on that one, so at least we can take all that information forward for tomorrow's race.
And there's a lot of talk and investigation around a jump start. You feel you did that?
Oh, to be honest, I didn't actually know. I just sort of thought I saw the lights go out and went for it, but Hugo did. I think he jumped the start, so I may have hesitated there a little bit, but either or, can't complain. Like, we know we've got a semi-fast car or a fast car, so at least we're in a good spot.
Congratulations, obviously starting off the pole tomorrow. So we'll move on to the podium and hand out the presentation. So in third place for this first one of the season, first race of the season, Josh Bethune. Trophies given out by Frau Peter, the wholesale manager of Auckland Bridgestone. And in second place, Arthur Braun. Great job by him. And in first place, Chris White Jr. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is your podium for race number 1 of the Toyota 86 Championship.
Continue the story here at Hampton Downs, all as a part of the Alliance Services Hampton Downs GT International. We go from GR86 to some thumping, some stonking V8s. The SP Tools TA2 NZ Championship, race 1 of the weekend here, and Ronan, hasn't the entry list, the volume of competitors, the interest in this class just swelled in recent months?
Yeah, and how cool is this to see back in New Zealand a premier V8 category? We've got some awesome young chargers out there off the front row. Dylan Grant and Caleb Byers are leading us away, the number 20 car in the 33, followed by Clay Osborne, who's fresh off racing Australian Carrera Cup on the Gold Coast. Peter Ward, what a job he did to put that car P4 there in the Camaro. We look further down, P7 there, Toby Almaga in the 74, Leo Bolt in the 98, Jamie McDonald, ex-sprint car racer there in P9, Reece Gould off P10, Elton Wickman there in P11, and Andrew Turner off P12, Morris Shapley in P13, Brianna Hughes there in 14th, and Mark Pitcher rounding out the field for this 15-car grid. As we see now, they're just coming around to warm up the tyres, get the brakes nice and warm. It's going to be a rolling start for these cars. Dylan Grant there in that Dodge Challenger body Napa Auto Parts sponsored car. Caleb Byers there. He'll be off the front row next door to him. Great to see a variety of the different bodies. All these cars are the same. It's a spec class, so underneath the chassis, the engines, they run a LS-based power plant in these cars, all on Goodyear tyres. This is going to be one for the ages. The debut of the SP Tool TA2 New Zealand Championship.
Isn't it going to be an absolute spectacle? Brand new championship as the GR Supra safety car pulls away. Andrew Wade in the commentary box here with Ronan Murphy. I cannot wait to see this one get underway. There's been so much talk for so long about this championship, and we are here. We are about to see it all unfold. That nervous wait as you come up towards the lights to take the start, isn't it? You're building up that energy, and you're waiting for those lights to go out.
Certainly going to be a few nerves on the grid there. This is the debut of this category here in New Zealand.
As you can see up to the top right next to the Hampton Downs logo, once you see those red lights extinguish, we know we are underway with a race start. And Dylan Grant with a great start on the inside there. Caleb Byers trying to go around the outside as Dylan Grant locks a break into turn 1, and that allows Clay Osborne up the inside, and he will take the lead out of turn 1.
I think Caleb Byers was watching the car ahead because he did exactly the same thing and allowed Osborne through. We see there Peter Ward in the background. Coming down towards turn 2 for the first lap here.
Another little lock-up. Another little lock-up, sorry to interrupt there, Ronan. A little lock-up down into turn 2. These cars are so easy to do that. you've got no aids, you've got no traction control, you've got no ABS. It's a good old H-pattern gearbox. These are as raw as it comes.
You see there Danum Templeman in the 93 car. He was also having a look down there at turn 2 as we see Dylan Grant with a big slide off turn 4. Clay Osborne there in the Ingham car. He's still leading this one. Dylan Grant there in second, Caleb Byers. So those three have been the form guys so far this week. And as we see a spin, the 88 car of Daniel Udi, he's managed to get it back around and gather it back up. So we're not going to see a safety car for that one, but that was a hairy moment there, Andrew.
Yeah, he's lucky to get away with that one without any further damage there. That beautiful looking Mustang of his. It's not on place. He's been doing a great job this weekend, sort of running around that top 4 to 5 all weekend so far with practice and qualifying. So he's been in the mix, so he'll be absolutely gutted about that. He's got his work cut out from here, but taking it around the last corner for the first lap, Clay Osborne. Not so used to cars like this. We've seen him in GT3 Cup cars, 992. He was on the streets of Gold Coast last weekend, flying over curbs there, and now he's here at Hampton Downs this weekend in a completely different style car as we see another lock-up down into turn 1. And that is the hard thing about these cars. You can see the way Clay was even sliding sideways on the exit of turn 1. That's this tyre, isn't it, Ronan? The way it's set up with that softer sidewall.
Wow, and as they say, Andrew, young blokes, cold tyres. That's certainly summed that up there and shows how hard they're pushing in these early laps. Clay just locking the inside right front tyre. You see there the 98 car, actually, Leo Bolt, he locked up there down at turn 2. But going back to the front here, Clay Osborne, Dylan Grant and Caleb Byers, they're stretching away from the rest of the pack, having a great battle out front. And Osborne's certainly not running away with this one. Dylan Grant's all over the back of him, but Clay fresh back from the Surfers Paradise, the Gold Coast 500 only a weekend ago at the Porsche Cup car. Had a great weekend there, and now he's leading the debut of the SP Tours TA2 New Zealand Championship with race 1.
Yeah, very talented driver is Clay Osborne, and very, very quick in karts. Made the step into cars starting in the 86 Championship. Showed a lot of promise in that, and that's why he's off doing, you know, bigger things as well with the 992 Cup car over in Australia as well.
Back here at the front, Clay Osborne in that Ingham car leading the Mustang, the Dodge Challenger and the Camaro. So how cool is that to see all three marques, all three brands in the top 3. All got the same LS-based power plant underneath though. We listen to them roar as they come across the start-finish line. This is a tight one. How cool is that, seeing the flames spitting out the right side as Dylan Grant's locked up again. So they may need to start looking at adjusting the brake bias a bit. We've seen a few lockups down there, down to turn 1. So as we see a replay of the start, Dylan Grant got a good start, but neither did he or Caleb Byers get as good a start as Clay Osborne.
And it looked like he was all under control at this point there. There was that slight lockup, wasn't there? And they just forced him wide. And Caleb Byers sort of got sucked into it as well, because when you're up close behind a car like that, Ronan, you end up, again, that's a replay of Clay Osborne into turn 1 as well. But once you're up behind a car like that, it's so hard to see people, isn't it, Ronan?
Absolutely, and when you're so focused on what the car ahead of you is doing, they brake late, you want to brake late to stay with them, but sometimes if they've actually overcooked the corner, you can end up doing the same, and that was a bit of that case there. So Clay Osborne took advantage of that, took the race lead. As we see there, he drops the wheel on the exit, shows how hard he's pushing on in this one. The top 3 are literally separated by fingernails right now, and this is a great race.
It's been near the halfway point of this race. Clay Osborne just holding on to the lead at the moment. So I think there might have been Stephen Giles, a shoulder we're looking over there. He's one very, very talented mechanic engineer who's not just been here in New Zealand, he's been to the heights of Formula 1 and done some incredible things over there. So to have him on your car, any day you've got Steve Giles on your car is a good day.
You're going to learn a thing or two for sure. And shout out to Peter Ward. He's doing a great job there in 4th place. Holding on as we see, going down the front straight there. Dylan Grant's managed to take the lead back. And Caleb Byers is going to try and take advantage of this as well. Big slide off the exit of the corner there in the 33. And this is what this is all about. Slide and V8 racing, and Clay Osborne's now looking down the inside of Dylan Grant again, and he's going to try and make the move. Grant's gone very wide.
Is he going to get it stopped? He's managed to get the car stopped just in time there, and that was that effect, wasn't it, where Dylan Grant pushed in that little bit harder, and Clay Osborne there with all that experience he's got, managed to get the switch back and retake the lead of the race.
Big slide there through turn 4. They're gathering them back up. Coming in between, down towards double B corner. Caleb Byers is all over the back of Dylan Grant.
I feel like Caleb Byers actually got pace to burn here. He's sitting in the back of these two guys in front, just not able to do anything with the pace that he's got. He's been able to look after that tyre just that little bit more. But now I feel like it's going to be the best opportunity for him. The second half of the race has been able to manage that tyre just that little bit better, look after everything. And now I think we'll start seeing Caleb just get better and better. But out in front,
even there we see coming out of the Porsche Dipper, Clay Osborne was running that defensive line, so he clearly maybe just doesn't quite have the car speed of Dylan Grant and Caleb Byers, but he's doing a great job to stay ahead and defend, and they keep locking tyres up down in turn 1, then who knows who's going to win this race.
Caleb Byers is the only one at this stage to not have a lock-up, so those tyres are a little bit nicer underneath him at the moment, and now you can see that pressure starting to come on to Dylan Grant, because Caleb, as we keep saying, he just looks like he's getting better and better as Clay Osborne up in front there. Another little lock-up, and Dylan Grant runs wide, and that allows Caleb Byers up the inside. Is he going to have enough? How late can he brake? He's on the inside. Not enough. Has to sneak back to the left-hand side of the road, back onto the race line.
Clay Osborne and Dylan Grant are torching these right front tyres. They've locked up that many times down at turn 1. Byers has managed to keep it in check, and he almost had a run going down towards turn 2. Dylan Grant's having to run very defensive, and he's just managing to keep him at bay there. Caleb Byers' car is looking like it's coming on more and more towards the end of this race.
And how good has this worked out for Clay Osborne? It's opened the gap out for him. He's able to have a little bit of a breather. We saw he qualified in 3rd spot, and Clay being Clay, I know he would have wanted a little bit more pace out of himself, but this is showing his experience. He may not have the fastest car in this race, but his experience has got him out front at the moment.
And Caleb Byers actually had a bit of a moment there on the entry of the double B corner, so he's lost a bit of ground to Dylan Grant to try and make it up, and all this has done is allowed Clay Osborne to skip away there. As we come through the Porsche Dipper on lap 5 of 8. Caleb Byers there again, putting the power down. He's catching back up to Dylan Grant, and Danum Templeman has actually managed to clear Peter Ward. So he's moved up to 4th place there in that Challenger bodied car. Peter Ward there in number 69. He's dropped back to 5th with Toby Almaga there in 6th. Reese Gold there in 7th, and Leo Bolt there in 8th place.
I feel like watching as well, Dylan Grant's just really struggling to get the car stopped. Quite often he ends up sailing past the apex. He may not always lock up every time, but if we watch him down into turn 1, we know how much he's been struggling down to here, as again we see another lock up on that inside tyre. He did make the apex this time, but just really struggling to pull that car up, so whether he's hurt that tyre bad enough on the early phase of the race to make it a bit harder to stop.
And if it's lap after lap, it probably does he needs to look at making a brake bias change, because as we see there, Daniel Udi, he's actually, unfortunately, looks like he's retiring from this race, so clearly an issue there, unfortunately, for the 88.
Yeah, it's a real shame for him. Not a great race for him. We've seen the pace that he did have earlier on, and that's a real shame for him. It doesn't look like he's had contact of any description anywhere, but he's in a safe-ish place. I know race control will be doing everything they can to allow this race to continue, because finishing under safety cars, never the best way to finish a race, but Clay Osborne sort of feels like he's got a bit more control in this race now, Ronan.
Yeah, things have settled down a little bit, Andrew, and the 28 car looks a little bit more settled as well. He hasn't locked a tyre up the last couple of laps, unlike Dylan Grant, but the top 3 have certainly broken away. There's a lot less pressure now. Caleb Byers sitting there comfortably in 3rd. Danum Templeman now coming through the Porsche Dipper there in 4th, and Peter Wood not too far behind.
He made some improvements, that car of Clay's now, just as the race is going on. You just sort of feel and sense he's just got that bit better car and that bit more control of the race at this point.
And he's obviously adapting to it as well. He doesn't have a lot of experience. He sort of jumped in this car for the weekend, so he's clearly starting to come to grips with it as well.
Yeah, it is such a different car to get your head around. These cars here, I've been lucky enough to drive one a couple of times now, and they've got quite a different makeup of tyres. You see Clay there run wide once again. You can see the way they have that bit of a flat slide, and that flat slide is just due to the tyre that's on it. It's sort of like a balloon style tyre as Clay has to defend down into turn 2 there. So the whole car moves on the sidewall of the tyre, and it feels like it's sliding, but you're not. So it's really hard to understand what's actually happening underneath you.
a bag tyre in a way, and Clay, we spoke too soon. We thought he had it under control, but then he made a slight mistake down at turn 1, and it's put Dylan Grant right onto the back of him there. The Ingham Mustang versus the Napa Auto Parts Dodge Challenger. Caleb Byers is not too far behind either. This has brought both of these guys back into the fray, as we see there. Double B corner, Danum Templeman coming through there. Peter Ward not too far behind, but this top 3, we thought it had settled down over the last couple of laps, and look at it, it's closed right back up.
Yeah, it has indeed. And interestingly enough, I was just trying to have a think about where Dylan is most likely going to make this move, but it's nearly to the point where both Dylan and Clay, their weak spots over the lap are in the same spots. They're both struggling in turn 1. If it's not Dylan that's running wide at turn 1, it's Clay that's running wide. So they've got quite a similar style car, the way that they're running this race. So it's going to be a tough one for him to get past. But as we know, these cars are so easy to make mistakes without all those electronic aids. They are such a raw car, and that's what creates such good racing. Last lap of the race, as they cleanly get their way through turn number 1. You can see that flat slide out to the exit as they pull gears down towards turn 2. You're thinking about your braking point at this point.
How cool is that to see the flames spitting out of the side of those cars down towards turn 2? They're right on the limit of the braking down there. Clay Osborne has still got the lead of this race. He's done a great job managing it out front there in the Ingham Mustang. Napa Auto Parts car there, the Dodge Challenger of Dylan Grant in 2nd. Caleb Byers there in 3rd. The gap's shrunk between these 3 guys. Byers has done a great job to hang on to them. Big slide out of turn 4 by Dylan Grant there, as you were talking about, elaborating on earlier, Andrew, as he's had a big moment there, Dylan Grant.
Is Caleb going to get up the inside? Can Caleb Byers put a move on? He gets on the gas. They're side by side, not quite, down into turn number 8. But can Caleb get on the throttle nice and early, close up the entry for Dylan Grant, force him into the narrow line? So at this point, Caleb needs to duck back to the inside, but no, he's going to try to run the long way around to give himself the line into the last corner. Not quite enough.
Yeah, coming onto the outside of the Porsche dip is usually a very hard move to make, particularly around the outside. So didn't quite work out there for Caleb Byers, but what it's done is given Clay Osborne a lot of breathing room.
It has. And speaking of breathing room, well, that's not breathing room. The 143 of Brianna Hughes, that's not where she wants to be. But that aside, race number 1, Clay Osborne across the start-finish line to take the race win. What a race that is between the top 3 there. I think we're going to see that all season long between the 3 of them. It's a great battle by them, and just so cool to see these cars finally active. Finally, we've got a championship with them. It's fantastic to see, and I feel like this is only the beginning.
And Clay Osborne's name will forever go in the history books as the debut winner for the SP Tools TA2 New Zealand Championship. Rest of the cars coming across the line there. The 98 car of Leo Bolt with Elton Wickman right in behind him in the 77. Great battle between those guys as he's almost running off the road after the finish line. The teammates.
Oh, there's another one as well in the background. You can hear the little lock-up in the background. It's what's going on there is that start-finish line is so late. It's around the braking point for these cars, so you've got to commit. You pass the start-finish line, braking after that, and if you've got to do that, you end up missing the corner. But what a race. What a way to kick this championship off. Let's take a look at the results. Clay Osborne taking the race win with Dylan Grant coming home in 2nd spot. Caleb Byers nearly getting through into 2nd place right on the last lap with Dylan Grant making that slight mistake. And Danum Templeton with his welcome back to circuit racing with a great job there. Peter Ward doing a fantastic job in the number 69. Toby Elminger as well. He's going to only improve as the season goes on, fresh into these sort of cars. And Morris Shapley coming home in 11th spot, and Andrew Turner right behind this championship, one of the stalwarts to get it to where it is now, and without him the championship wouldn't be quite where it is. And let's take a look at some highlights straight off the line. It was all go, cars fanning out left and right, and it was Dylan Grant with the lock-up down into turn run, running wide, and that allowed Clay Osborne into the lead of the race. And from that point onwards, there was no stopping Clay Osborne. Didn't do it easy, was under all sorts of pressure all race long, with a few lockups himself.
Absolutely, and we see there Dylan Grant now going down the inside of Clay Osborne. They both locked up, and we thought at this point that Caleb Byers was going to take the lead. Big slide from the 33. 28 car though, managed to stay ahead, Clay Osborne, as he drove away out in front. As we see there, that was the issue there for Daniel Udi. Unfortunately, the 88 Mustang didn't get to the end of this race as he pulled off. Credit to him pulling off safely there on the inside of the front straight.
Yep, did the right thing, getting out of the way to allow the racing to continue, and did it what? As the laps wore down, it was Clay Osborne that took the lead and the win of the race, with Dylan Grant fending off Caleb Byers at the end.
There's Clay there, taking off his helmet. The young Jedi, it says there on the side of that car. It's pretty cool, the nickname there of Clay Osborne. And we're going to shoot down to Rusty down in the podium area to hear from Clay Osborne.
Ronan, I'm intrigued about what this young Jedi thing means. So why don't I ask him, where's that come from?
It's just a nickname that me and the crew have towards me. It's kind of just sucks, so we thought it'd be a funny idea to put it on the car for a bit of a laugh.
All right, well, that could stick. That could be the little bit of good tonic. This is the antithesis of what you were doing on the Gold Coast last week. Tell us about how this came about and how much fun you've had.
Yeah, no, massive thank you to the Ingham family for making this possible for me. And yeah, I'm having so much fun. Obviously, it's day and night to what I'm used to, but I'm really enjoying the new challenge. And we haven't quite got the speed of these two yet, but we'll chip at it overnight and see if we can get there.
That's a really cool moment in the record books for this class, which is growing in numbers. Will you play more regularly over summer? Will you see you keep doing a bit of that?
Yeah, we'll see what happens. I'm really enjoying it so far. It's a fun category. It's hard work though. You've got to make everything right and try and make the tyre last throughout the weekend. So those last couple of laps, I kind of tried to manage the tyre, and hopefully we've got something for the final race.
You have a very bright future, mate. Miles is Miles. Great to see you playing in it. Time for the podium. There he is, your race one winner of the SP Tools TA2 NZ Championship. Time to celebrate it here at Hampton Downs. Can we get our top three? Firstly, third place today. Ladies and gentlemen, make some noise for Caleb Byers. How about it? Well done. In second position, Dylan Grant. Great battle. And your race one winner, Clay Osborne. Some nice smiles on the podium there. A moment for the media to capture that. Our podium for the SP Tools TA2 NZ Championship drivers. Congratulations. We need a break here in our coverage of the NextGen NZ Championship. The Napa Auto Parts muscle cars, the Central muscle cars, just around the corner.
At Repco, we get what gets you going. Because while you told her it would be loud, you forgot to mention how it feels. Repco gets you going.
It's one of the biggest weekends on the Kiwi sporting calendar, January 30 to February 1 at Highlands Motorsport Park for a milestone running of the Napa New Zealand Grand Prix. It's the title decider of the Castrol Toyota Formula Regional Oceania Trophy. There's Formula Atlantics, Bridgestone GR86, GTs, some fire-breathing V8s and all sorts of family fun. Be there for the 70th running of the GP Round 5 of the Repco NextGen NZ Championship, or catch it on Sky Sport.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Alliance Services Hampton Downs GT International Round 1 of the Repco NextGen New Zealand Championship. We're here for race 2 of the Napa Auto Parts Central Muscle Cars Series, and this is going to be a handicap race. We've got the starting grid. Caden Coey's going to start off the P1 position in the HQ Holden. Clark Hopkins there in the Holden A9X Tirana, they're off P2. Grant Crosby in P3 in that beautiful blue Chevy Camaro. Angus Fogg there is off P4 in the number 11 J.A. Russell Moselle Panel and Paint Mustang, and Lance Hughes rounding off the field in the 5th position in that beautiful red LH SLR 5000 Tirana. As we are making up the grid here for this handicap race, so they're going to get led off in staggered form. Caden Coey there off the P1. He's going to lead the field away once the start flag drops. Just seeing Lance Hughes there grid up for that final position there in the 5th place. Only 5 cars in this field. Unfortunately, we lost Andrew Turner. He blew his engine up.
Yeah, Andrew Porto, but unfortunately blew his engine in the race earlier on today, which is a real shame for him. As we see the race get underway with the first car, Caden Coey, he has made his way into turn 1. You may be wondering why these cars are still sitting on the grid there. There's a good reason. It's a handicap race.
Exactly, and the aim of this is to try and get everyone to finish at the exact same time. As we see there, Clark Hopkins goes, the New Zealand flag drops. Now Grant Crosby gets let off. So Caden Coey's got pretty much the whole back straight ahead of Clark Hopkins. We see there Lance Hughes dropping some smoke as he gets off behind Angus Fogg there. All 5 cars have now set away, and the idea of these next 6 laps is for those faster cars at the back to try and hunt down the cars in front. We saw there Clark Hopkins actually had a bit of a lock-up down there at turn 2.
Yeah, so tell you what, it was a pretty tight start between each class or each car that took off at the start there. There was only sort of 3 or 4 seconds between each one. Normally, sometimes you see it up to a lap, so not a huge jump there for Caden Coey. You can sort of get a really good vision of that from where we start here. It does look like a massive gap, but for those of you that are wondering, what is a handicap race? How does this work? It's to try and get everyone, as you touched just before, Rona Murphy, to get everyone to finish across the start-finish line at exactly the same time. It's all calculated off best laps, how they've all been going, and the idea is as the race goes on, they're all going to close up to each other, and in an ideal world, we'll see all 5 cars here finish across the start-finish line at exactly the same time. Of course, that never happens by the time you bring traffic in. By the time you lock a brake, run a little bit wide in a different spot, but it always seems to lend in the favour of the first cars that take off, doesn't it, Ronan? Because you've got that vision, you can see you've got a chance at winning a race, don't you?
Absolutely, Andrew, and as we see there, Caden Coey going through turn 1 in the real rides, HQ, Monaro, Holden, Clark Hopkins coming up across the line with Grant Crosby not too far behind in that beautiful blue Camaro, going down towards turn 1, so it's a GM 1, 2, 3 at the moment, and Angus Fogg, the Lone Ranger, out there for the Fords. Lance Hughes not too far behind there in 5th in the LH, beautiful red SLR 5000 Holden Tirana. We see Foggy there coming through the first corner sliding down towards turn 2. Clark Hopkins has now got Grant Crosby right in his mirrors in the 22 Chevy Camaro. They're at the same time as they're trying to fight and get past each other, they're chasing down Caden Coey for the lead. He's got a 20-second lead currently at the end of the first lap.
Yeah, and that works out in Caden Coey's advantage, doesn't it? Because you've got Clark Hopkins holding up Grant Crosby. So when I say holding up, they're in a battle for the race. And Clark is obviously in all his rights to be able to be there and defending his line, but that allows Caden to just get that little bit further ahead. So that's where Grant Crosby will be doing everything he can to try and get ahead as quick as he can. But at the same time, Clark is also catching Caden as well. So, but the more you defend those lines like that, the harder it gets, doesn't it?
Yeah, and he's doing a great job of holding off Grant Crosby, and I'm sure Caden Coey will be stoked to see that in the rearview mirror, that they're having a great battle with Angus Fogg not too far behind. Him and Lance Hughes in the 84 car are starting to pull in this gap. So even though it's a slightly smaller field than usual for the Napa Central Muscle cars, it's still a great battle between all 5 of these guys, and they're getting stuck in there. It's Caden Coey out in front. He came across the line. Clark Hopkins, Grant Grant Crosby there in third, trying to go up the inside of him. Coming up the front straight there as they unleash the power of those GM-powered V8 Holden Tirana and Chevy Camaro as he goes up the inside there. Grant Crosby, great pass up the inside, putting the 22 car there into second place.
Gets the move done.
It's there, Angus Fogg and Lance Hughes having a great battle there. Down the back straight, the power of that SLR 5000 Holden Tirana. He's now looking up the inside of Foggy there. As Foggy runs the outside line. Cutting back in, get the apex there at turn 2. Grant Crosby has cleared Clark Hopkins, but he hasn't managed to get away too much yet. And Caden Coey's still got a huge lead over these guys coming into the third lap.
Yeah, he certainly does. It's going to be pretty hard to close that lead down, as we saw in the race earlier on today, that Caden wasn't actually that far behind when they all saw the checkered flag where they rode it. It was still pretty tight between them, so it's going to be pretty hard to close that gap down. It's still 19 seconds at the moment, so that is a huge gap that Grant Crosby's going to have to close up.
There's that fight between that beautiful 67 Mustang owned by Steve Neuer from Moselle Panel and Paint, being driven by Angus Fogg as he goes down the inside. Usually his regular car that Foggy drives is still in Australia after campaigning it over at Bathurst. We saw that car clock over 300 kilometres an hour on the Conrod Straight at Mount Panorama. He's now managed to catch up to Clark Hopkins there in the third place in the number 8 A9X Tirana as they come up over the front straight. Listen to them roar, this Napa Central Muscle cars. They fight for that final spot on the pit podium there. Clark Hopkins, he's running a little bit more defensive there as Angus Fogg's going to try to go around the outside. Caden Coey's still got about the length of the back straight over Grant Crosby. Clark Hopkins there, he's not looking like he's going to be able to hold on to this over Angus Fogg there in the number 11 car.
So just looking at it as well, that last lap, Grant Crosby closed the gap down by 3 seconds, but we've only got 2 laps remaining in this race. So if it all works out with another 3 seconds over the next couple of laps, he's only going to close that gap down to 10 seconds. So that's still a massive, massive lead for Caden Coey if he can keep this up. But now Grant Crosby has that clean air. He might be able to close it down a bit much, but I'd say even himself, he's thinking, I think this one might be a bit out of reach, closing a gap down that's that big.
Yeah, Grant Crosby doing a great job there as Angus Fogg dropped the wheel on the exit of turn 4, and the amount of horsepower going through that Mustang, that would have been a sketchy moment. It certainly would have got the blood racing there as Foggy off again.
I wonder if he's got an issue. There's something not right there. Just the way the smoke came off it, I'm wondering if there's something else. I'm not sure if it was just dust getting kicked up, but the fact he went wide again, I was sort of in two minds as it was. Let's take a look. No, it was just a wheel.
A bit of dust, and we've seen that all day. We saw that a lot in the earlier in the day in the Monochrome GT4 Championship. A lot of cars running out there and kicking up the dust there on the exit. As we see Clark Hopkins now under attack from another Tirana, fellow Tirana, and Lance Hughes in the 84 car. Hasn't quite managed to clear him just yet. Is it coming around the exit? The final corner. That's a 3-door Tirana versus a 4-door Tirana. An A9X LX Tirana versus the LH SLR 5000 version. Coming across the front straight there. Having a great battle. Angus Fogg's managed to clear those guys and drive away, but as Lance Hughes goes up the inside of Clark Hopkins there, taking that 4th place off him. Man, when they put the power down on the exit, you just hear those V8s just take off down the back straight.
Oh, how's the flames out of Grant Crosby's car into turn 2 there. Massive, massive flames coming out of it. Let's have a look at this again.
The flames just shooting out. The excess fuel being burned on the exhaust pipe out of the 22 car there. Great replay shot. Angus Fogg there coming through turn 4. Lance Hughes in tow. Clark Hopkins there, rounding out the field there in the 5th place. Lap 5 of 6 for these guys as they come up to the double B corner. Lance Hughes has managed to stretch his legs a bit and pull away from Clark Hopkins. There, Grant Crosby. Angus Fogg starting to close in a bit on him, and the gap there, I don't think they're going to be able to pull 13 seconds out of Caden Coey there as he comes up the back straight down towards the final corner. I don't see how they're going to be able to pull that in over this lap and a bit to go.
Yeah, going to be pretty tough to pull that one on. The last lap it was was another 3 seconds, as we sort of predicted from what we saw the laps before. But with the clock ticking down and only just over a lap to go, it's going to be very, very hard work from there.
This is definitely Caden Coe's race to lose. What a job he's done out the front there. The number 13, the HQ Monaro, sponsored by Real Rides. He comes through turn 1 on this final lap, down the front straight, down the back straight now, puts the power down. Angus Fogg's closed right in on Grant Crosby, so he's putting him under pressure for that second position. The J.A. Russell supported number 11, as we said, as we spoke about before, not Angus's usual car, but he's doing a great job wheeling Steve Noyer's beautiful 67 Mustang out of the Moselle Panel and Paint shop there. That third place as he's looking to try and go down the inside. Not quite. He had a sniff there at turn 3 on Grant Crosby. It's getting closer and closer between these guys for that second place. Caden Coe at this point, he's checked out. He's still got 10-second margin over the rest of the field. You see there the HQ, Monaro, 4-door, GTS Holden coming down towards first of the hairpins as he makes his way up towards the Porsche Dipper. Oh, no! What has happened there? Grant Crosby, unfortunately, he's now off the road. Angus Fogg there's now taking up that second place. Flames still spitting out of that car there. Andrew will hopefully be able to see a replay as he burns it down. Looks like Angus Fogg's going up the inside, and they've just made contact there going into the double B corner. So unfortunately that's taken away any shot of Grant Crosby coming away with the podium. That may get looked at the end of this race. But Caden Coe's going to come across the line and take the victory. Great job from him. He had a 10-second lead going into this final lap. Angus Fogg's going to come across the line.
Is he going to get it?
Oh, Lance Hughes has just pipped him at the line. Great racing between those guys, and he's had
trying to stop it.
Lock up to pull that one up. But great racing there between Lance Hughes and Angus Fogg, and maybe Angus Fogg was potentially nursing that car coming across the line, and Grant Crosby does make it across and taking that final lap. Great job from him to finish that race after that contact at the double V corner. And sometimes, you know, on these last laps, it can breed a bit of biff and barge, and that's what we saw between Grant Crosby and Angus Fogg there as we wait for the results. So results here for this second race in Apple Central Muscle Cars. Caden Coe took out the win, just under 10 seconds between him and Lance Hughes there in the 84 car. Angus Fogg rounding out the podium there, but that may get looked at between himself and Grant Crosby. Clark Hopkins there in fourth in that A9X hatchback Tirana, and Grant Crosby rounding out the grid, or the field I should say, in that 5-car race. And Caden Coe there, he took the spoils. A handicap race, but it didn't end up being that two handicapped. He took the victory pretty comfortably as we look at the highlights of the race. Caden Coe set off alone down towards turn 1. A pretty sizable margin by the time they let Clark Hopkins go. Clark Hopkins got let going there. He went off on his way there in the number 8 Tirana. Grant Crosby then followed there in the 22 car, and Angus Fogg and Lance Hughes got let off together. As a bit of a peeler there from the 84 car of Lance Hughes. It took him a bit to get going, but once he did, he was on fire. Great battle between the 22 car and the 8. Grant Crosby going up the inside there. A great trade-off between him and Clark Hopkins. Caden Coe, though, he was pretty undisturbed this whole race, wasn't he, Andrew? He just set off and was left to it.
Yeah, and handicap race aside, he deserved that win. He did not put a foot wrong that whole race. Commanding lead, and then it all unfolded here with Grant Crosby and Angus Fogg coming together. And that is one for Robert Van Gisbergen to have a look at the end of this one. You may know that name. Shane Van Gisbergen's dad. He's nearly got away scot-free without any work, but he's going to have to sit Angus down after that one, I think.
Yeah, and we know Foggy's a bit of a wild man there, and usually in the black and gold car, and he's been kindly lent his good mate Steve Noyer's Moselle Panel and Paint Shop car, the J.A. Russell supported car, as he pulls up there into the board. And unfortunately, I'm sure Foggy may be in a little bit of hot water for that one, as we see there. Lance Hughes coming up there, taking that second spot, and he did a great job to take that off Foggy right at the end of that one. And although it was a bit smaller field than they usually have here in the Napa Central Muscle Cars, certainly wasn't short of action.
No, it certainly wasn't. And you can sort of see the way as well there, Foggy, after the incident happened. He actually checked up and kind of waited for Grant to get going again, but that was obviously not going to happen. So I think you might know there's a bit to unfold after that one, but there was no stopping Caden Coe.
As he makes his way over to the Allied Petroleum victory lane, and we're going to go down to Rusty there at Allied Petroleum victory lane and hear from our race winner, Caden Coe.
Ronan, thank you. 13 is unlucky for some people, not for you, Caden. That was fantastic there today.
Yeah, cheers. Yeah, we have our days, but this afternoon was all right.
Yeah. Smaller field here this weekend, and I know the way the race format plays out, but you've got to take that. You play the cards, don't you?
Absolutely. I was broken all day yesterday, so today's my day to come back.
Just tell us a bit about that and the comeback today.
Yeah, well, we were struggling with power steering issues yesterday, and we've gotten better this morning, and then that race was sorted. We made a couple of changes, and obviously they worked.
As they say, sweet. Congratulations.
Cheers.
There you go, your race winner, Caden Coe. Let's go to second place. Lance Hughes, we'll get you to come on over because that was a pretty cool run to the line and a good battle. We'll get both sides of the story here. Hello, mate. Welcome. You enjoy those, don't you?
Oh, I love them. Absolutely love them.
Now, tell us about what unfolded toward the end of that race there.
Obviously, Foggy got past me again, which is what he does. But I got a really good run on that last corner and sort of just out-horsepowered him up and kept my foot in it right over the start-finish line, which obviously nearly ended up as a sandpit. But we did it. We got P2 out of it, so it's great.
You've driven a variety of things. You enjoy racing in all of its different forms. What does it mean to come and play in the Napa Central Muscle Cars like that?
Oh, these things are really cool to drive, eh? It's really up here and down there. Just the throttle application is all what it boils down to.
All right, we'll give it more jandle tomorrow, why don't you?
Cool, thanks.
There he is, Lance Hughes. Right, let's get Angus Fogg over and we'll get the other aspect of the story. Hello, mate. Welcome. Nice to have you here in Victory Lane. What played out there?
It's a bit of a schmozzle, wasn't it? Lance and I were having a great old battle, and he obviously got me on the line by a Nats Nunu. But anyway, it was a good battle up till the end there where I clipped Crosby. But we'll have to review that one and see who was at fault. In my mind, we were. Yeah, anyway, okay. We'll see. Unfortunate, but, it's a big thanks to Steve for loaning me the car, and, that's Mark Holland's old car that Crosby's driving, so he would be smiling down on us being silly buggers out there.
Absolutely. And that's Nunu. That is what is that?
That's less than that's Nana.
Hey, we know you love this class. Very cool that you could stitch something together to come and play, given that you've been busy abroad with it too.
Exactly, yeah. The black car's still in Australia, ready for Sandown in a couple of weeks. So really looking forward to that, and dialing Steve's car in one thing at a time, and we'll have it on the ball for him when we go south in the new year.
All right, it's always a good day when we see you in the Napa Central Muscle Cars Victory Lane. Thank you, mate.
Thank you. Cheers.
There you go. We're going to grab a commercial break here. Some of the competitors in GT3 looking to the skies. A local says it won't rain, but some of the visitors from Australia are a little bit nervous. More in a moment.
At Repco, we get what gets you going. Because while you told her it would be loud, you forgot to mention how it feels. Repco gets you going.
Wait, is this an ad for Toyota? Look, Toyotas, all of them. You got a Farmer and a Hilux, a Hi-Ace, Highlander, RAV4, GR86, and even a hydrogen car. You got the All Blacks and Black Ferns in a Prado. A happy family in an electric vehicle. And a happy Dame Lisa Carrington carrying a kayak. So now do you think it's a Toyota ad?
Nah, it's just New Zealand.
What's with the music then?